would be the major challenges in reestablishing the Human Rights Commission in Maplewood?
You know, I think just to get that off the ground. And I think, too, to let the people of Maplewood know that there is a commission. And because of that commission being available, I think there's a lot of education on the part of the commission to let the citizens know what their rights are, because this affects everybody. It's not just a small minority that it's just, you know, low income or anything. I think human rights deals with everybody. And depending on what their situation is, they can look into it further if they don't think their rights are being met. But I think a lot of it is what are your rights in all aspects of living, of work, of just everything. So I think there's a lot of communication that you need to get out and find out what the needs are and how you can meet the needs of our citizens.
Thank you.
As a commissioner, you could be involved in facilitating issues that may arise between individuals and/or businesses in the community regarding housing, employment, public accommodations, and/or services. What experiences and skills qualify you to perform this task?
I guess just being a very organized person, it just seems like no matter what is put in front of me, if I don't know it, I will learn it and go forth that way. With the housing issues, I think there's a lot of different things I would have to learn, just based on what the legal issues are for discrimination with housing and affordability and that type of thing. But I think you need an organized person to just facilitate a lot of these procedures.
Thank you.
Hi. This is just a little bit broader use, basically, of the same couple questions you've already answered, but think a little broader. Based on your life experience and your understanding of the mission of this commission, if you had the opportunity to set one goal or major program for this commission, what would it be?
Well, I think getting back to letting everybody know, the citizens of the Maplewood, what their rights are. Because I guess when I was thinking about this, it's like, oh, human rights, I mean it's kind of a very broad topic. But it really does affect everybody. And I think just getting the communication out there and the education. And then I think, too, once you proceed with that and you've done all you can, however that is, through newspapers, mailings, whatever it is. I'm not sure how you'd go about that. But some type of order of how you're going to look at any breaks. I mean, I'm sure there will be issues for people that in the city, and when those needs aren't being met as far as their rights, how you go about that. You know, do you fill out an application? You know, because there has to be some type of protocol that's legal and equal for everybody to do.
Thank you.
That's the end of the formal questions.
Okay.
In your application, you wrote, I would like to volunteer for something that I feel passionate about. And then you go on talking about that a little bit. But so, can you talk a little bit about your passion for this?
You know, I feel very strongly. I think right now, and it's not just in the Twin Cities or in Maplewood, I think there's a lot of people out there that are just seeking advice on how they deal with certain situations. I don't think everybody needs to file a you know, whatever you would call it, a complaint. But I think there's a lot of people that are unsure in this area, and a lot of people that don't feel the same way, and that everybody is equal and everybody should be treated with dignity no matter what the deal is. I mean, you have to look at their matter, and you have to find out what the situation is and treat them fairly. And I don't think we do that as a society. I don't think we have different levels for different people, for different occupations, for different race, for different incomes. And Maplewood has a huge variety of diversity and income levels. And I think just getting that information out and finding a way that you can empower them with what is right and what they deserve.
Mr. Lanas?
You mentioned something as it related to social justice and your church. And as you talk about the diversity in Maplewood, we have a diversity in religion as well.
Right,
We have a wide
right.
variety of religions. And so maybe you can talk a little bit about what you see is possible with working with our communities of faith and what social justice, what you meant by social justice.
You know, social justice was a real, or I should say is, it's not currently in our parish, but it is a very active leadership role that was in our parish, that was actually in the Archdiocese, that would alert you to different things that they were covering over in the legislature. Immigration issues, low-income issues, just a lot of different issues that were more on the line of social justice. And your job then was to, if you believed in it, they didn't make you do this, but if you believed in it, then you would write letters, email, just shoot them off and get everybody that you could at the parish level to do that. I think that worked very well. That was just our church. I know there's other churches that do similar things, but I think too there's an opportunity then, because we're all dealing with these same issues. And maybe there are other churches or other faiths that maybe aren't, I don't know what the word is, we don't know enough about, that we need to find out what their religions or their faith is, because we all have this common bond. We're all believing in something. And so we need to come together on that and maybe work together on some of these social justice issues, which I think get into human rights. There's lots of opportunity there.
Anything else from us? Do you have any questions that you'd want to ask us or anything?
Well, I guess my major question is, it sounds like it's a brand new commission that you're starting.
Kind of. We did have a previous commission, but it disbanded in around '05.
Oh, I see. So are you starting?
I think they lost their way at that time.
Oh, okay. So it's starting though from...
Yes. So this will be a new commission, but we did have a similar commission in the past.
So I'm just wondering too, when people have issues or maybe have claims, if that's the term, is it going to be handled at the city level, or then will it move on? Because it almost seems like it can be so broad that maybe we're not big enough to handle some of the situations, I suppose legally, or, I mean, how far does it go?
That's an excellent question, and you'll be breaking some ground, and we'll be trying to figure a lot of that out. I've had some concerns as we went through the process about us getting too bogged down into legal issues that we don't want to be.
Right.
But does somebody have Mr. Lanas?
That was one of the concerns, in that it wasn't going to be focused on, say, for example, landlord-tenant disputes. And we have our city attorney, or one of our city attorneys with as it relates to labor, that will also serve with Ms. Guilfoyle as liaisons from the staff. It is really an opportunity to kind of lay out what the commission thinks it ought to chart as its agenda, but really serving as a legal component or an area to dispute or mediate. That was probably not going to be one of its charges.
I would understand
as the mayor talked about, there is some concern by the council and certainly by some of the staff that it would fall into that realm, and really this is a commission that was going to be focused outside of that spectrum.
Okay, so there would be some division, obviously.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, would there be training as far as going over, if we're going to be dealing with housing disputes, would there be training as to what we're covering, the commission is covering, and go forth on that? Or is that what...
I would think that Ms. Guilfoyle wants to comment on that.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I've been doing quite a bit of reviewing and contacting other cities, and one of the things that we will hopefully do is send the commission to a day conference that's put on by the League of Minnesota Cities. And I think that as the staff liaison and our city attorney too, that we would want to attend that.
So
it's a nominal fee, and I think that it would be prudent of the city to do that.
Okay, I see.
And then also the general routine really with any of the commissions or with the council itself is that there's a topic that's brought before you. You're given a report that could vary from a couple paragraphs to a few pages or more, which lays out some background, why this is something that we're looking at all. Might touch on some of the legal aspects to be considered. In our case, a lot of things come back to our city policies and ordinances.
Sure.
And then really just a matter of, all right, and so how do you apply those to this situation?
Okay, all right.
Ms. Gentleman?
And as far as the advisory piece of a commission like this, my envisioning and in our discussion was a lot more about how to inform the community of what it's to be part of the community and how everyone has a right to be a part of the community, and it would be less making, if you will, legal judgments and more an awareness piece.
All right, I understand.
Any other questions?
No, I think that's it.
All right, I think we're all done. So
okay, thank you very much.
We really appreciate taking the time. We will not finish our interviews today.
Okay.
It'll be 2 weeks before we get back together to do the final 2 or 3 people.
All right.
And then in that week after we do that, you'll be notified as to what the results are.
Okay.
And the plan at this point is to have the commission get together starting in January.
Okay, that sounds good then. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I tried to run that by instead. So the next one then is, looks like Ms. Maxwell. Hi, Ms. Maxwell.
Hello,
Is it Ariane?
Ariane.
Ariane, thank you very much for taking the time to, one, apply for the commission, and two, to take some time out of your afternoon to come in for this interview.
Thank you.
The interview process is that we have 5 formal questions.
Okay.
And just so that you're aware, Councilmember Nephew has opted to not participate because he has a close relative who's applying.
Okay.
And so Mr. Antonin will be asking a question because we want to have 5 questions, but only the 4 council members will be actually voting on the applicants.
Okay.
And so we have 15 minutes to conduct the interview. Most of them, we've been finishing up the formal questions before that, and so that'd be an opportunity. We've had a few follow-up questions that we've been asking, and then if you have questions of us, you can ask us, and we'll probably use most of the 15 minutes, I imagine.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just start down the list. The first question is Mr. Antonin's.
Thank you. Please explain any background or experience that you may have had in any of the following areas: public housing, civil rights, veterans issues, education, employment, or social work.
Okay, Mr. Anton, and I would like to say I have experience in civil rights in the sense that I have worked on various campaigns. I have also worked with various groups, different cultures. It's brought me from my education as well as my personal life. I have traveled extensively around the world, backpacked Europe. I've studied in China for a month. And I've noticed that human rights is something that's key to everyone. For the housing, public housing, public housing, I was a teacher in Minneapolis, and I faced a lot of issues with students with homelessness.